What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. And as always, there's lots of news to report as the Wednesday Night War takes a surprise turn. Join us now as we look at the ratings war heating up, a shock low attendance for AEW, has the hype already gone, NXT's future locations, Cody's promo praised by some big names, the Saudi saga continues, a WWE Injury Update, Jeff Hardy's return nowhere in sight, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more videos like this. But let's get into the first story as the ratings war heats up. It looks like the invasion angle has jump-started NXT's ratings as the Wednesday night ratings between AEW and NXT were at the closest they've ever been. First, let's look at the ratings as PW Insider's Dave Shearer examined the two shows' ratings, saying, "The numbers are in for the sixth night of the Wednesday Night Wars, and while AEW has extended their streak to 6-0, they did so by the skin of their teeth." AEW Dynamite on TNT did 822,000 overnight viewers, up from 759,000 they did last week against Game 7 of the World Series. They were up 8.3% from last week. The good news is that they bounced back from last week's low. They are still well under the 963,000 viewers they did 2 weeks ago. With NXT on USA, it's a different story. They brought in 813,000 overnight viewers, which was up from last week's 580,000. Unlike AEW, they were well ahead of the number that they did 2 weeks ago, 698,000 viewers. They were up 40.1% from last week. It's the best number that they have done since week 1 of the war, and their loss this week was just 9,000 viewers. It would seem that the exposure that the brand got on SmackDown and Raw brought eyeballs to last night's show. It'll be interesting to see if this continues. As Shearer noted, the real test lies in next week's ratings. As did the fans who tune in for NXT for the first time or lapsed fans see something that caught their interest enough to come next week? If so, the competition is really heating up. This situation shares parallels with the Monday Night War. When Nitro first debuted against Raw, some predicted that the market couldn't support 2 shows on one night, and that they would eat into each other's audience. The opposite happened with both shows establishing their own audiences. The other parallel is how the WWE stumbled into wild success when the Mr. McMahon character came about due to the backlash from the Montreal Screwjob. A bad situation turned out well for the WWE here, and the Crown Jewel flight situation led to the WWE having to run the NXT invasion far ahead of time. History may record that Friday Night SmackDown was the moment when the WWE began turning things around. While it's too early to tell what's in store for the long run, WWE officials have to be elated at the ratings rebound. So in turn, has the AEW hype already gone? There's just been some shock low attendance. As whilst AEW continues to lose viewers on a weekly basis in the ratings war, the decreasing numbers reflect a decreasing audience at shows. AEW Dynamite took place at the Bojangles Coliseum in North Carolina yesterday, and you can see huge sections already being tarped off a la WWE style. Now, we've ragged on WWE's low attendance in the past, but this is shocking. As let's face it, WWE has 4 shows a week, not counting house shows. AEW has 1, and maybe an odd pay-per-view. 1 show a week, and they couldn't fill a place that has a seating capacity of around 9,000. Ignore the fact that there are a few empty seats as these pictures seem to be taken at the beginning of the show, but it's the fact that they've tarped off around 1,000 seats which is the problem. Yes, we all know AEW is a new promotion, and things might seem like a rollercoaster ride, as they'll see a fluctuation of up and down audiences, but to see a dip this early on is quite shocking. It might seem WWE doesn't want to do the same and go into bigger arenas where they can't fill it, as a recent story at Ringside News suggests that WWE isn't planning on moving NXT out of Full Sail University anytime soon. Fans and analysts have wondered whether the WWE might move the yellow brand out of the small facility it operates in, but according to this story, the thinking is that the WWE will take NXT on the road in 2020, but now we know that they're at least planning to stay throughout January. Newly released promotional material shows that NXT will be live from Full Sail Arena every Wednesday night. They also listed the first 4 weeks in 2020 and ticket on sale dates for 2 of them. With NXT pulling in an impressive rating for this week, they may feel it has nothing to lose by remaining at Full Sail University. Given the critical success of NWA Power, which is held in a small studio, the WWE may be content with NXT's current home and wait to see how future ratings play out. But regardless of the low attendance, Cody's promo was praised by some big names. The 6th November edition of AEW Dynamite featured a well-received promo from Cody Rhodes with two legends of the squared circle praising Cody for it. Rhythm, cadence, tone, intent, passion, execution. Great promo, brother. You might drop that MF. Considering The Rock's legacy as one of the greatest talkers in the history of the business, that's high praise indeed. But The Rock isn't the only one to praise Cody either, as Jim Cornette tweeted, "The promo Cody Rhodes just cut on AEW is the modern day version of his dad's Hard Times promo. To quote The Dream, that's how you do it, kid." Next up, let's move on to some Saudi news as the saga continues. This week's edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter provided more details and analysis of the post-Crown Jewel debacle in Saudi Arabia that left a number of WWE superstars and employees stranded. What was particularly interesting about the analysis was the discussion of wrestlers who were able to make it out of Saudi Arabia. They mentioned, but there were also an estimated 20 people, roughly a dozen wrestlers, as well as others needed for SmackDown in Buffalo, that were able to get out of the country on a late chartered plane, although they ended up not being able to arrive in time for the show and instead were diverted to landing in New York. What was notable is that the WWE claimed the talent made arrangements for the flight and gave the impression they paid for it with the idea they were so loyal they didn't want to miss SmackDown. We were told that in fact nobody paid a dime for the flight and WWE both arranged and paid for it, which makes the WWE's wording in the release strange. The latest edition of The Observer also raised a point to support the WWE's narrative that a mechanical issue grounded the flight home. The fact that WWE was able to get about 20 people out early would indicate Saudi Arabia wasn't keeping the talent there, as most of the talent were saying, but also led to the issues where the idea that the WWE should have made an effort to get everyone out and not just the key people they needed the next night for television. There are still an alarming number of unanswered questions about what exactly happened, and it's clear that the WWE is sticking to its story. Ultimately, Meltzer summed up the situation for disgruntled WWE wrestlers. As far as what happens next show is anyone's guess. The basic gist is that the few guys who already wanted to leave want to leave even more. But the only smart response from that group is to sit and wait until the expiration of the contract and not get hurt, since they can extend the contract. Most aren't looking to leave, and some probably have an interesting chapter for a future book. It really may be years or decades before fans learn what really happened after Crown Jewel ended in 2019. Next up, Jon Moxley dishes the dirt. AEW's most hellacious brawler Jon Moxley recently shared his experiences dealing with being sidelined from AEW's All Out pay-per-view, as well as his sense of freedom working in the new promotion. During an interview with Bleacher Report's Kenny Herzog, Moxley discussed not wanting to miss his match against Kenny Omega last August, but being persuaded to wait. "It took me a full day to process it. I was like, of all times, of all stupid things. Basically, that thing started trying to crawl out of my elbow. The first doctor could tell I was in denial. My wife was in there with me, and it was almost like he started talking to her because I had the wrestler eyes. He was like, this isn't getting through. This is not registering. But if that shit gets in your bone or blood, you can lose a limb. That would be one of the all-time dumbest ways to die, to pull off something because you want to have a pro wrestling match. There was nothing I could do, but it was hard. Ultimately, what were we talking about? One wrestling match? Big deal. Now everything's looking good." When asked when he sees himself retiring from the ring, Moxley replied, "A few years ago, I was like, I want to retire when I'm 35. This. And now I'm like, damn, I want to wrestle till I'm 50. This is just my life. This is the thing I'm most passionate about. I don't see any end to the road until maybe one day the body breaks down and we gotta take him out back and put a slug in the back of the horse's head and put him out to pasture. I truly made it. Not because I made money or because I'm some star. I made it because I don't have to have a real job. I get to do what I love for a living, and it's a hell of a blessing." It's great to see Moxley's passion for the business renewed, as it furthers the question of how the WWE stars might fare should they jump to another promotion. Next up, WWE Injury Updates. Not too long ago, we reported on the WWE's Alexa Bliss suffering an injury which may keep her out of the ring for the foreseeable future, and not long before, we also discussed the New Day's Xavier Woods Achilles tendon tear. According to PW Insider, Woods won't be back anytime soon, as internally Xavier Woods is not expected back until summer of 2020. Xavier isn't the only superstar who isn't expected back immediately, as fans wondering what's going on with the Freak Lars Sullivan may be disappointed that the muscleman who started off with a strong push earlier this year, only to be injured, still has a long road to recovery. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Fightful.com that we're told that his knee injury recovery is progressing slowly, even slower than some he's experienced in the past. According to Ringside News, Sullivan is expected to return to the WWE in the summer of 2020. Another WWE superstar nursing an injury is Samoa Joe, who broke his thumb and according to Fightful.com is listed as returning in December. This is hardly a guarantee. The injury bug is beginning to take out some of the WWE's biggest stars, but with so much talent available, there are so many superstars likely waiting to step up the proverbial plate. Next up, a Cain Velasquez match has been scratched. Mexican fans who were disappointed by Cain Velasquez's squash to Brock Lesnar in Saudi Arabia won't get to see their hero work in his scheduled tag match alongside Rey Mysterio, as Cain has been scratched from the match. According to Wrestling Inc.'s Mark Middleton, there are other changes to the card. The Fiend Bray Wyatt was originally announced to challenge then WWE Universal Champion Seth Rollins in a steel cage match, but now that Wyatt has the title, he will be defending it against The Miz in a steel cage. Rollins is now scheduled to face Randy Orton, who was originally announced to face Kevin Owens. Owens will now challenge WWE United States Champion AJ Styles, who was originally scheduled to team with Gallows and Anderson against Ricochet and Raw Tag Team Champions the Viking Raiders. WWE has also pulled Sasha Banks and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley from the card. They were originally announced to face Charlotte Flair and Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch. Flair and Lynch are now scheduled to challenge WWE Tag Team Champions Asuka and Kairi Sane. One new match was added to the card, The New Day vs SmackDown Tag Team Champions The Revival. Next up, an NXT invasion in Manchester. WWE will be touring England, including taping episodes of Friday Night SmackDown and Raw. Currently, Bray Wyatt is scheduled to appear on the blue brand, but Brock Lesnar's presence on 11th November remains a mystery. Rumour has it that WWE is flying over NXT stars to continue the invasion angle, and in light of the angle's success, they'd be foolish to stop it just because the company is on tour. And our last story, Jeff Hardy's WWE return nowhere in sight. Wrestling's charismatic enigma has been busy whether it's recovering from surgery or dealing with his legal problems. Hardy appeared in North Carolina's Monroe County Court on 7th November in regards to his driving while impaired arrest and is expected back on 5th December. However, when is Hardy back in the WWE? According to Fightful's Sean Ross Sapp, there's no definite return for Jeff, as despite being expected back in November, Jeff Hardy is not listed for a return as he's taking care of his personal issues. But there you have it guys, the latest wrestling news for the 8th November 2019. Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, check out Wrestlegamia if you have some time, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.